Deep in the Middle East, a ceasefire has just been declared. But even as the world kind of holds its breath, there's this one narrow waterway, and it could be the trigger for a global catastrophe. We're going to dive into the story of a peace that's already on the brink of collapse and the single oil artery that's holding the entire world economy hostage.
Yep, you heard that right. A ceasefire is officially in effect. But the world's most critical oil route, it's still trapped in the crossfire. It's this incredible paradox, and honestly, the stakes could not be any higher. Now, before we really get into it, if you like this kind of deep documentary-style content, think about subscribing. It really helps.
All right, so let's break it down. What exactly is going on here? Well, a 2-week ceasefire has just been announced between Iran and Israel. Sounds like good news, right? But, as you're about to see, this truce, it's hanging on by the thinnest of threads.
And we need to be really clear about something. This is not a peace treaty. Not even close. It's a pause. On April 7th, 2026, the plan was for all fighting to stop for just 2 weeks. The whole idea was to open up a desperately needed window for everyone to talk.
Okay, the key players here are, well, they're fascinating. Of course, you've got the main combatants, Iran and Israel, and you've got the U.S. with President Trump making the announcement. But then there's this fourth player that kind of signals a real shift in the region's diplomacy. Pakistan. Yeah, Pakistan, stepping in as a surprise mediator. And all the while, Iran's public statement is just chillingly clear. They're saying, sure, it's a pause, but the war is not over.
You know, to really grasp how fragile this whole situation is, we have to look back at just how fast things escalated to bring us here. I mean, how did we get to the brink so incredibly fast?
It was just this rapid, dizzying spiral downwards. It started with a series of tit-for-tat missile and drone strikes, and they just intensified really quickly. Then Israel launched these massive attacks on Iranian interests. In Iran's response, it wasn't just military. No, they retaliated by closing the Strait of Hormuz. And that single act, that's what triggered this frantic, last-minute diplomatic scramble that led to the ceasefire we're talking about now.
And that right there, that brings us to the geographical heart of this entire crisis. We're talking about one of the most important places on the entire planet, a place you probably don't think about every day, the Strait of Hormuz.
So what is it? Well, it's a choke point. Think of it like a bottleneck. It's the super narrow channel of water, and it's the only way for ships to get from the Persian Gulf out to the open ocean. Its strategic value, you just can't overstate it.
Just look at this number, 20%. Let that sink in for a second. 1/5 of the entire world's daily oil supply passes through this one single strait. So yeah, when it closes, the global economy feels that pain immediately.
And this really puts the strait's importance into perspective. Look, we all hear about other critical shipping routes, right? Like the Strait of Malacca or the Suez Canal. But Hormuz, it is in a league of its own. It handles more oil traffic than any other choke point on the entire planet. Period. And this is exactly why Iran's move was so significant. See, closing the strait, it's not just some naval blockade. It's a direct threat to the energy supply of the entire planet. Like one analysis put it so perfectly, Tehran basically activated its most potent economic weapon.
Which, of course, brings us right back to today. Because the ceasefire agreement, it exists on paper. But on the ground, well, on the ground, a very, very different and much more violent story is unfolding as we speak.
The disconnect between the agreement and what's actually happening it's just stark. The terms were crystal clear. A pause on all strikes, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and holding talks in Islamabad. And yet, within hours, we're getting reports of a massive Israeli airstrike in Lebanon, missiles fired towards Kuwait. The ceasefire was being violated before the ink was even dry.
So it really forces us to ask a pretty direct question here. With everything that's happening, is the war truly on pause, or is this just some kind of brief, violent intermission before the main event?
And this is the crucial point, right? This kind of instability, it doesn't just stay in the Middle East. Oh no. The shockwaves from this travel instantly, and you better believe they are felt in every single corner of the global economy.
Think about it. The second the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, you see an immediate impact. It's like a chain reaction. Global oil prices, they spike. The cost to ship and insure anything in that region, it skyrockets. Supply chains start to buckle under the pressure, and really important geopolitical alliances, they're put under immense strain.
What we're watching is a high-stakes global chess match. The U.S. Navy is on high alert, trying to decide whether to intervene directly.
Alliances are being tested like never before. You've got Pakistan's diplomatic profile suddenly on the rise, and literally every major world power is forced to stop and calculate its next move, all because of a potential energy crisis.
So, where does this all go from here? Standing on this knife's edge, it really seems like there are three distinct paths forward. Okay, path number one is de-escalation. This is the best case scenario, right? The 2-week pause actually holds, the talks in Islamabad lead to some kind of fragile agreement, and the Strait of Hormuz reopens. Then there's scenario 2, a frozen conflict. This is where the ceasefire is just violated over and over again. The strait remains a huge point of contention, and we get this low-grade, super tense standoff that could go on forever. And then there's the third path. The most dangerous one. The ceasefire collapses completely. Retaliatory strikes escalate, and it just explodes into a full-scale war, drawing in regional and even global powers.
So here's the bottom line. What happens in this one tiny corner of the world over the next 2 weeks, it carries an absolutely immense weight. The outcome isn't just going to define the future of a region. No, it could literally reshape the entire global order for decades to come. If you found this insightful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It makes a huge difference.